Fanservice, your weekly show that takes a geek field trip into the world of pop culture, which I can say correctly. Can you guys? Can you?
Pop culture?
Correctly.
I really thought you were about to say Pop-Tarts, I'm not going to lie. Pop-Tarts?
I said correctly.
So, yes, this is Fanservice, part of our Fanboy TV block party of programming right here on Thursday nights. I'm one of your hosts, Gavin Stone. We're missing Harley, so we thought to bring in one of our newest members, Lulu.
Hi guys, I'm Lulu Dudley.
Now they're going to think
really
that we don't like
Jeffrey's
Harley.
I ain't got glasses on, so I can't do anything.
I can't see anything.
And we have...
What?
But you.
I'm a critical success that accidentally led to failure. Pocky D.
And I'm a cartographer. I'm Jeffrey.
He is. He's really, really good at it, actually, too.
Is it my turn? Is it
It's
my
my turn.
So we have a really interesting show for you guys today because Pocky's been super passionate about this for a while. We are talking about all the RPGs out there that are not Dungeons & Dragons.
Correct.
Because when you say, oh, let's play a pen and paper RPG, what's the first thing that comes to people's minds?
D&D.
D&D. What about you, Lulu?
Yeah, I would say D&D was usually my first guess.
It's pretty interesting the way that it comes across because, I mean, it's such a behemoth. But there's so many other ones out there that they really get overshadowed. So when I go to the comic book stores, I like just kind of looking and seeing all the different ones. I'm like, wow.
Hey, if you want to think that's bad, think that's impressive, go to like Drive-Thru RPG, and it's like it's self-published thing. So
It's like
people
the
think,
encyclopedia
and
of
it literally
RPGs.
is. Yeah, and it's like there's like, oh, do you want high fantasy? We have 1,200 high fantasy books. You want to read?
Gosh.
Yeah, it's insane. There's even an role-playing game called Day in the Life of All My Children's Hospital. It's basically, I think that's about right. And it's literally a daytime soap opera role-playing game.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So it'll be quite interesting to see what everyone thinks because we have a special guest that Pocky lineup is going to join us via Skype video, so it'll be
He is
pretty
an
amazing.
awesome person.
But we want to go ahead and get this show started on the
Yeah,
road.
let's do
So
this.
we'll be right back with this week's Geek History book. Don't go anywhere.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Geek History Book, which is something we've been doing here. It's been pretty fun, where we look at fun things in geek history that happened during the week.
Yes.
And so we've had Lex Luthor stealing TVs, and we've had all sorts of other fun things. And so we decided to expand it out to multiple things per episode. So this has been
Because history is huge, and there's a lot of it.
I just don't want to keep repeating the things every year that we do this. I was like, wait, there's way too much going on. So I'm going to let Pocky start off with what happened this week in geek history.
So TSR was the company that published D&D.
Oh, yes.
But in 1997, Wizards of the Coast bought it, and that causes a lot of things. Third edition gets published at that point, causes a huge influx of new players. 3.5 happens, then 4, and now we're currently on to 5.
Yep.
Wizards of the Coast does a lot of things because they have a huge marketing department. Some people call it a new golden age. It leads to a lot of new things and a lot of new players, and even to other games that show up later on.
Can I just say about the TSR? I still have the TSR spellbooks, the second, the third, and the fourth. The only spellbook I cannot find is the first. If you have it, please message us on fanboytv.com. I must have it.
I find this very interesting because sometimes when Wizards of the Coast steps in, bad things happen.
Right.
Sure.
It's become too big for its own good.
Yeah.
What do you think it would have been like had TSR not sold it?
No,
Lulu, where do you think Dungeons & Dragons would be today if they hadn't sold it?
That's a really good one.
I mean, I feel like it would have expanded a little bit more deeply into like the indie gaming industry. I do believe, and I have to say, like, as far as Wizards of the Coast is concerned, I'm a huge fan of them because especially recently a friend of ours lost everything in Hurricane Harvey, and one of his pictures went viral. It was one of his magic cards had stuck to the wall and it was a swamp.
Irony.
Exactly. And so Wizards of the Coast decided to send them a huge care package of magic cards to help, like, come back with a lot of the stuff that they had ended up losing. So I have to say I'm definitely a fan of the company as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm bitter because of the whole HeroScape thing. That was the world's greatest game, and then they bought it and ruined it.
I really did enjoy HeroScape at the time, but
I have the original set at the house.
Do you
We need
really?
to play it, yeah.
I think
friend
it's a
of mine has all the
podcast coming up,
expansions
guys.
that I lost. It's gonna be lots of fun.
I think for me though, what it ultimately represented was that Gary Gygax and all them, their project was TSR and D&D. I mean, he went to Gen Con for up to I think a couple of years before his passing, and it's like Wizards of the Coast bought it, and it kind of, in a way, showed that this is a business. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't just a bunch of guys. This is a straight-up business.
Yeah.
And we can be bought and sold. And also, I mean, Wizards of the Coast itself knows how to handle huge groups of people running events. There's a D&D league that they run every month now with new books and stuff, and they know how to publish it, and they also know how to learn from their mistakes. So,
Well, let's talk about learning from mistakes. Our next item this week is the United States detonated the very first large hydrogen bomb named Mike. Now, this is pretty big for science and history as a whole. Like,
and all the B movie horror drive-in theater movies that thing caused.
and all the wasteland post-apocalyptic futures, like
Fallout.
all that stuff. Lulu's all excited.
Dystopia
Tell me,
Rising.
Yes.
How do you think this really impacted even today? Because back then everyone was afraid of nuclear. Today it's like nothing. But we still love that Wastelander experience. Why?
I think it's so you know when you're watching a horror movie and you hear the music and you see the lights and you see and you're like, okay, it's coming. I know it's coming. And it gets to the point that if they drag it out too long, you're kind of like, just come at me already. Just pop out. Just
Come
do
at
the
me, bro.
scare.
Let's do this.
I'm ready. And I feel like that's why we have a lot of fascination at this point, because we've been inundated with it for so long,
Yes.
and we've gone through fear and come out the other side, and we're just like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm prepared. What am I going to do in the apocalypse? Not what if the apocalypse happened. It's like, we
No more
already
duck
know.
and cover underneath your desks in the school.
That was ridiculous.
And then we'll make a Discovery Channel program about people who make bombshell bunkers.
I love bunkers. I make them in The Sims 4.
I find it really hilarious. I mean, this was also a very tragic thing that came out of this, but this is science progressing us forward. And of course, as geeks, we have a habit of taking over things. So we really kind of took over this whole atomic age,
It does happen.
post-apocalyptic thing. And I mean, we've got Fallout and
We have
Dystopia
Wasteland,
Rising.
Dystopia Rising. I was looking
Wasteland's
forward to
next
Dystopia
week.
Rising. And all
I leave on
sorts of
Sunday.
things that came out of just this event.
Mad Max.
Do you
Boy
find it a
Nostalgia.
little twisted that we celebrate and obsess with something that's really quite devastatingly, dangerously bad?
It is very.
She's like, nope, not at all. I love it.
Well, there's two sides of this. Yes, it is very dark. It is very grim. You know, if it really does happen, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I know what to do." No, you don't know what to do. You don't even know what's going to happen.
Where are you going to get
It's
clean
gonna,
water? Like
it's going to create mass chaos, and you know, it's very dark fandom, really.
is.
But the amount of costuming and design and the
Says the man
badassness
with
that
no glasses
follows
in his
it.
glasses.
I
Right.
know.
It was-
Well, you know, Lulu and I, we go to a live action role play. It's called Dystopia Rising. That's U.S. wide, and the amount of costume design and story that follows along after following a post-apocalypse after 200 years, it's just
Yeah.
remarkable the way that people have taken this such dark and grim little thing that's happened, kind of big thing, but you know, it's just, and took it off like
Yeah.
nerds. Definitely
Well,
took
it's
it
really
over.
important to do because you can't have a rebirth without destruction.
Exactly.
So a lot of people think that we're just harping on the destruction aspect, but no, it's all of the stuff that didn't work for us has been and works for us has been ripped out from under our feet. Now what? And I think that's a really important thing for people to be
Exactly.
exploring. And in a LARP environment, it's making mistakes without consequences, like hardcore real life consequences. So it's really important genre and narrative to explore, especially currently.
And I also kind of like how the apocalypse is because they take materials and they basically recycle them. I mean, you know, someone who just combat creations and does that,
Well,
we're going to be pros at that
I
stuff.
think,
we're for hire if it
Science
happens.
and the dropping of this bomb for that. But up next on our Geek History book, we have another fun topic that I think is going to be interesting. I would love to hear Graham's point of view. George Lucas left all of his operations to start writing the prequel trilogies.
Yep.
This week in history,
No,
he decided
no.
to create racist aliens, baby Anakin, and whatever came after that. Like,
weird.
I still defend the prequel trilogies because I get it. They're political stories, they're not action stories. Everything has to have an origin somewhere, and it is his world, but really, Jar Jar Binks.
Well, so here's the thing.
Everyone
This is
hates
also
him so much.
because he's such a bad character.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is also when George Lucas lost. See, everyone has someone behind them. You have one behind you. That's like, no. Calm down. Whoa. No racist aliens. No, Jar Jar Binks needs to go away. Like, if you read the original script of Star Wars, that thing is garbage.
Yeah.
Like Like Star Killer and everything else, it's garbage. What fixed it was Mark Hamill and a bunch of the actors. The actor who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, I just forgot his name.
We know the story.
Yeah, but it's the fact that he had his guy who goes, no alien racist aliens.
Yep.
Believe him.
He didn't have any yin and yang. He didn't have his
Right.
balance that kept him evenly going. So he's like, whatever happens, happens. My kids say they want glitter. Here's a glitter character.
Literally his kids. Like, that's what I get from the first one is like, okay, so you kind of let your kids write a Star Wars. Okay, all right. Well, that's a thing that happened.
And if you look at the first Star Trek movie, the very first one, I'm talking
That's
about
horrible.
Right, Star Trek, the slow motion picture. That was also written by some fans. And you can see
Horrible.
why you should.
Horrible.
Dragon Ball GT, Star Trek, the slow motion picture, and the prequel, the first Star Wars Episode 1, is why you don't let fans write stories.
Jeffrey's mad because he's a Star Trekker.
Twilight is the
Dude,
reason
have you watched
don't
the
let-
original Star
or-
Trek?
or-
The original?
Have I watched
50
the
Shades
original
of Grey,
originals?
which
Of
is
course
the
I've
one-
watched the originals.
Okay, so
I have
let
no
me-
comment. We're going to
So
move on
yeah,
to the subject.
very divisive event in history right there. But the other one that is their biggest one probably is in 1996, the dual analog controller was first introduced. Changed gaming industry forever. Tell me a controller that is not this way now. I dare you. You can't.
No.
It is the biggest
You
thing that
can't.
happened to video games and like forever and a day.
Analog
PC
controller.
Master Race.
Oh, don't even get me started
Oh
on this.
no! Please no. The last time he went over about this, it was
We're not talking
about
about
an
PC Master Race, but yes.
hour-long
understand.
conversation about that.
Sony finally changed the game industry. Not
Yep.
a lot with PlayStation, but now with the DualShock controller,
Actually,
amazing. Dual analog, amazing.
Nintendo kind of had an analog stick back in the NES. It wasn't very effective because they were just working on it.
Well,
but-
because Nintendo wasn't back then. But that's been it for this week's Geek History Book. It's been a lot of fun going through all of our things. Catch it each week right here. But up next is Geek vs. Geek, where I get to take on Jeffrey.
Oh crap!
We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Geek vs. Geek, where we get our two co-hosts to fight each other to the death, verbally, not physically, to determine what is the best in this subject. I am, of course, the judge, Pocky D, because I do a lot of things role-playing. So, our subject is what is best in role-playing. We're going to have Gavin Stone.
I'm saying total imagination. Forget everything on table. Just you need a pencil, a D20, and a piece of paper, and that's it.
Versus Jeffrey Lord.
Excuse me? No, I'm all about the miniatures and the map making and the visual aspects that you'll get from D&D.
Well, general role-play.
General play.
So, what we have here is Theater of the Mind versus Maps and Minis. Who will turn out on top and who will get sent home to the dungeons? Now, let us begin.
What are the rules?
Well, the rules is you get 1 minute. You get 1 minute of
Okay.
1 minute intro, 1 minute intro, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute closing statement. You get a 1 minute closing statement, and then I get to ponder for a couple of moments and think about my life choices. And then I will decide a winner.
They're not good ones if they end up on this show.
Yeah, probably not. So, we'll begin with Gavin Stone.
All right, tell me when.
Now.
All right, so the whole idea of a role-playing pen and paper game is it's based on imagination. Miniatures and boards are fun, but that's why there are board games like Hero Quest and some other things. You don't want to be limited by what you can physically represent in the middle of the table in a game where you can literally be and do anything with some roll of a dice and a GM. There's a reason why it started as pen and paper, maybe make a couple doodles here and there, but literally it lived in your imagination because you cannot represent your imagination on a board with some little cheap plastic minis and a crappily drawn map unless it comes out of something like Hero Quest or like even Warhammer where you use that. Those aren't RPGs. That's not what the essence of this entire genre of games was created from. So yes, I'm all about Theater of the Mind because imagination.
Is that it?
That's it.
You had 5 seconds to spare. You're awesome. So, Jeffrey Lord,
He looks confused. Maybe it's because he doesn't have
Oh,
glasses
I'm
in his
not
glasses.
confused.
I think he's offended. How about you go now?
Miniatures and cartographing. Seriously, let's get the hands-on imagination into this. Pen and paper and dice, yeah, that's cool, but you really want to be able to see where your character is standing, what does the character look like, and the cool thing was to collect the figures. The amount of figures you can get, the dragon comes in, you know, like how great is that? And the map making, as a cartographer for fantasy maps and
books, everything is those most detailed things you can ever get into as a DM. To give your players the hands-on imagination and the physical role play that you can totally go into. And all right, your character's gonna move this much. All right, you're moving this way. But if you're saying blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, I moved to the right this way. You get hit. Well, how did I know? I can't even see this. I mean, come on. The physical aspects is especially what you want for this kind of imagination.
5 seconds.
I'm done.
You're done with 5 seconds to spare. Both of you only needed 55 seconds, which is great because I have a burrito in the microwave. So now it's time for your rebuttal and me to get a chimichanga.
All right, ready? Tell me when.
Begin now.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, you don't have imagination that you have to see things all the time. The best way to play a game is in your mind because you're not limited to what can you see on a table. Because yes, I may have a dragon on a table, but what if that doesn't represent what we should be battling in this campaign? The GM is now limited to what he can get on the table, what he can't get on the table. Plus, let's face it, miniatures are expensive. It's not a whole lot to buy a book, a paper, and some pencil and go to town. That is the best way where everybody can play because everyone can come to the table, sit together, and be ready to go instead of, well, let's get all the pieces and set up. Oh, you don't have those pieces? Well, I have that on my
20
campaign.
seconds.
Oh, boo-hoo, Jeffrey, we can't do that because I don't have the miniatures for it. Oh, well, it's a nice map. I'm all about the nice maps, but they belong in board games like Hero Quest and Risk and Aliens vs. Predator. Come on now. There is nothing wrong with having
5
imagination
seconds.
in games unless you don't have it like Jeffrey seems to not have.
And you're done. In so many ways. All right, Jeffrey, you seem to be offended.
How imaginative is your comeback going to be? I'm
more looking down to make sure both of Jeffrey's shoes are still on. So we will start now with Jeffrey.
You are such a jerk.
Well, that's
I
understandable.
mean, think about this. No, not you, him. Think about this. You know, when you were a kid and everything, what did you play with? You use your imagination, but when you got toys and everything, you went right on into it. Seriously, I mean, yeah, okay, pen and paper is really fun and everything, but the aspects of actually being that kind of character, you get to look for, like, okay, if you're a rogue, you have a rogue and so forth like this, and you can actually draw the aspect of a map on the table here and just roll with it. If you don't have a figure, that's okay. Use something else. Use a toilet paper roll, use a penny, use a coin, anything. A rock, for crying out loud. I like to make it to where I can play my games, take the outside elements, bring them in. And what I like to do in this, because I get to use miniatures and cartographing, I let my players design the map they want, and then I put them in that scenario, and we head on into an imagination game instead of just saying,
5 seconds.
I'm climbing the rope. Roll me a d20.
And we are done.
It's the best you got, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Was that all of them? That was all of them.
All right, let's get to our final arguments. Ready? Tell me when.
You may start now.
All right, so you want to talk about the visual aspect, but you bring a rock to the game? I mean, come on now. The other problem
It's
is
called
with pen and
imagination.
papers, you have the imagination. There's no rules. Nazis, there's one set of rules. There's, oh, that's not representing a figure. You can't do that. It's a board game you're playing, so go play a freaking board game. Let's get into a much bigger world, not limited to the table, but unlimited by the group that's playing it. That is what an RPG is. It's not a LARP. It's not a board game. It is a bunch of friends getting together and creating something amazing that's not constrained by anything on the table except some dice, some papers, and a rule book. That's all you need. And you cannot beat your imaginative character in how you create and play that game when you want to be limited to a miniature on a map. How's that
seconds.
miniature going to climb a rope, Jeffrey? I didn't think so. You're still rolling dice, so you might as well make it look good.
And you're done. Excellent. Well, Jeffrey, you have a great rebuttal to go against. I might be lying. But it is your turn, sir.
I think you're missing the whole entire thing here. Imagination, pen and paper and everything is really great, but you really, just climbing the rope, really, that's the thing you're going to use against me. That's where you get to build the setting. You get to build the city. Use boxes. Make a freaking castle out of something. Use the outside elements. You make the map for the players so they can get a more visual range of what the area that they're playing in is all about. Board games are completely different from D&D, okay? Get that straight.
There's more than just Dungeons & Dragons.
I know, but seems like this is the most common topic that we're talking about. I mean, come on, play the game of life. We're playing a little game. You're using, what are you using? You're using miniature
10
pieces.
seconds.
It gives you more of an aspect. This is the visual aspect that makes RPGs more enjoyable for all
30
around.
seconds. Excellent.
This will be interesting to see who Pocky goes with on this one.
I am very interested too, because we both have really good things here.
I am not copying out, but I would like to say this first. Before I make my decision for whichever GM this is, the GM who uses theater of mind, I do theater of the mind, or the GM who likes to do huge maps and likes to do big dungeons like Jeffrey, you're not wrong. We are not saying you're wrong by any
We
stretch of the
know
imagination.
nobody's wrong. Pick a freaking winner already. Quit
But-
playing devil's advocate.
Why are you being so mean today?
But I'm just, because there are people who are like, am I doing it wrong? You're not doing it wrong. But Jeffrey, I have to give it to you. Because you actually...
Yes!
Because you
Oh my gosh, yes! That actually won against Gavin! Oh my, I think this is the first. Is this the first against you? I
Yes.
think this is the first.
Pocky never votes for
I'm
me.
so sorry,
No, I
buddy.
voted for you before.
Yes!
But here's the reason why. You actually brought up the one thing I was somebody had to bring up,
Oh.
which is improv. You brought up that it could be anything from a penny to a rock to a piece of toilet paper.
can
It can
be.
be. Yes, theater of the mind works, but the only problem with theater of the mind, and it happens to me all the time, is everyone's definition of what the rogue looks like is not always the same, and sometimes it's unfortunately can lead to confusion. Yes,
Pocky's a traitor to his theater of the mind.
I
They're
Then
watching
what
this
I
thing
say-
going, we're not playing your GMs anymore.
How about this, Gavin? How about we go ahead and do an episode? You're going to play one of my games so you can see exactly what
Do
I'm
I got to
talking
come dressed
about.
in full glitter? I know what you're talking
Why
about.
would you come dress up? It's not a
'Cause
LARP.
it's your game.
no.
It's a D&D game that we're going to
I've
play.
played
We're
all
going to play
those
an
types of
RPG
games.
game. And
I've
you'll
played
see
all those
exactly.
type of games. So I know exactly what you're
So-
talking about.
Yep.
So we got to wrap this up. Guys, put us on below. Who do you think actually should have won?
Shaking
Or
your hand. I
did
know where the hand's been.
So tell us who you thought should have won. Was I right or was I wrong? What do you like to do and how do you do it easily? I use Lego minifigures if I have to use people figs. They're cheap. So now next on is our main subject where we talk about other things than D&D about role playing. Well, Gavin took the loss of Geek vs. Geek a little too personally. No,
Yes.
he didn't. He's fine, guys.
He's fine.
But
He's fine.
right now, we're going to move on to our main subject. We're talking about role-playing games. And as we have said in the earlier beginning of the game, whenever you say role-playing games, everyone thinks of one particular game. But there's a lot more of them. There are tons more. And that's what we're going to talk about a little today is the world of role-playing games. And I got us an awesome guest. His name is Sean Patrick Fannon. And Sean, tell everyone what you've done, because you've done a lot of things in the role-playing industry.
I'm just this guy, you know.
You're an awesome guy. You do a lot
Appreciate
for
that.
charity, too.
So, wow. So I started Dungeons and Dragons back when it was first called Dungeons and Dragons, 1977 era for me. I think I was the first dungeon master in Cobb County, Georgia, quite frankly, which, you know, that was not an easy thing, I'll tell you.
I can imagine.
Yeah, right. Started working professionally around about 85 when I started doing some articles for, I think it was called The Gamer magazine, being published by Scott Herring, who's with Steve Jackson Games now. And I started doing some reviews and some stuff like that. I made a few pitches to get on board with the Hero Games guys back during the 4th edition era. I started doing some stuff with them. Actually became the continuity editor because they decided they actually wanted to build an actual universe around all the different bad guys and villain books and things like that. And I started doing some stuff. My first real project actually for them was, let me see if I got a copy of it here, High Tech Enemies, which that's the very first
Oh
book I
my
ever
gosh.
was in right there.
We're looking on the television that we have here. And
Yeah,
wow.
that is my first book that I ever did by myself.
Wow.
And it was actually launched the idea of the thematic enemies book. In other words, an enemies book that was about a theme as opposed to just a bunch of bad guys. So that was my first really major stuff. I started doing a bunch more stuff for Hero Games. I did some stuff for the original D6 Star Wars RPG. Tinkered here and there, did a few pieces here and there for the old school White Wolf stuff. Shatter Zone, a few other things. Sort of floated in and out of different stuff like that. Tinkered with the computer games industry off and on for years. that just never really worked out particularly well for me. I ended up going back to tabletop, where I've really done every job there is in the industry except art, because my stick figures look like they have epilepsy. So that's the only thing I haven't done. But I've been involved in marketing and sales, various levels of publishing. I was the events coordinator for the Game Manufacturers Association for a while, also a communications associate with them. I was a marketing and promotions director for Drive-Thru RPG and RPG Now. Did the Sean's Pick of the Day, which everybody knows now is a thing I do every day during the week, but I started that when I was doing the work with them. Shinetar for Savage Worlds, big epic fantasy setting, and that was sort of my big return to writing and design. Was doing that. Got involved with the latest Star Wars RPG. I did quite a few books with them, with the Fantasy Flight games. Almost worked for Wizards of the Coast like 3 different times. Kind of glad each time I didn't, just because there was always that cycle of, hey, look, everybody who's joined WotC. Oh, hey, look, everybody who got fired by WotC. So I managed to duck that every time. I'm pretty happy about that.
We were actually talking about that earlier, how Wizards of the Coast can kind of screw things up.
No, well, I mean, it's I think fantastic. They're rising tide raises all ships, and they're the big dogs who make the industry what it is. But individuals working for them, it's not always the most secure position, and I don't think it would have been particularly well for me at the times that I could have got involved. But yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with Pinnacle Entertainment, including right now I'm still the brand manager for the Savage Rifts project, which is probably the thing everybody knows me for right now.
is
doing
very
riffs for
excited
Savage
about
Worlds.
this.
I did a book called The Fantasy Role-Playing Gamers Bible. I think a lot of people know me for that one. And right now I've got Evil Beagle Games, which is about to go LLC. I'm bringing in 3 partners for that. We can talk about that more later if you guys want. I've got some huge projects coming together for that. So I'm actually at the biggest point in my career I've ever been, and things are about to kind of roll over into another huge area. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, we understand that. We just became an LLC ourselves, and things move very quickly when you do that.
So I definitely got to say, if we ever get a campaign or something going on, you have to be a part of it. You have an amazing background. I mean, what inspired you to go this whole entire route in your career?
Well, I mean, back in '77, gaming and Star Wars sort of changed my life. I was a nerd kid, geek, didn't really fit in, didn't really have a sense of where I was going and what I was doing. I didn't feel like I fit in particularly well. Discovered the existence of Dungeons and Dragons, taught myself how to be a dungeon master, and my friends were all like, "Hey, this is kind of cool." They didn't know any better to know how nerdy it was, so they just enjoyed it. And then that and Star Wars, was a huge epiphany for me in terms of the kind of storytelling that could be exciting and popular. So I've always been interested in creating stories, doing epic storytelling, doing stuff that was related to people feeling like they could be heroes. That was something that always inspired me. The thing was, for the longest time, this industry was not the kind of place where you were going to necessarily make a living. You were going to be able to do it and something else, and then this was going to be cool too. So I've done other things. I've worked in almost every industry there is except the medical profession. Like one of the big jobs I had for a long time was I drove an armored car. And I was writing and designing games at the same time. But I was at West Point as a cadet. I spent 2.5 years there before I finally decided, oh my God, what am I doing? And all of my friends there were like, why are you not writing this stuff? The stuff that you do, the games that you write and design, the material you do is at least as cool, if not cooler, than all the stuff that's getting published. You really should be trying to do this. And it wasn't just my friends at West Point, but everywhere. All of the friends who had been gaming with me over the years in different places I've been had all encouraged me. So I finally just decided, all right, well, why the hell not? Let's take a stab at it. There is another part of that story, though, and it's actually kind of poignant. So the night that I had the papers in front of me to sign to say, yes, I accept my appointment to the academy, my father, who was more proud of me than any person on the planet could have been about the fact that I was going to West Point, pulled out my folder with all of my Dungeons & Dragons maps, world building, character creation, the new rules things that I'd come up with, all of this amazing stuff that I had done over the years, and I just these giant folders. I had no idea that he had dug it out and been looking through it. And It's a little emotional for me just because he's been gone now for a few years, but this was a very special moment. And he pulled it out and he said, "Son, I couldn't be more proud of you," and we all are. But are you sure that this is what you want to do? Because I've read through this stuff, and even though I don't really completely 100% understand what you're going, I can see the world building, I can see the storytelling, I can see the talent. Are you certain that you don't want to pursue this instead? So I was totally committed. I wanted to go to West Point. It was Camelot. I went off. But years later, my dad said, "Well, now you should do what we talked about." And so it was with his blessings as much as anyone's that I decided to dive in 100% and make a run at it.
So when we talk about role-playing, everyone generally thinks D&D. It's kind of the default setting for people's brains. But you've also worked on everything from Star Wars. Star Wars is like one of the first ones that I always say people like, if you want to explain how to do role-playing, start with like Star Wars, or start with something else. I mean, the industry as a whole has moved forward from D&D. It's got a lot of different games. I mean, how much fun has it been going to do other types? Eagle Beagle, you've also worked with Evil Hat doing Fate, and you've done Savage Worlds, you've done Rifts, and you've done a couple other titles.
Well, I was not involved in any of the Fate stuff, except the very, very far background, just as a fan and a friend and stuff like that. But I didn't do any Fate work.
Okay, my mistake. But you've done a lot of. But as the industry as a whole, we've gotten more titles, and people have gotten more creative with the idea of it's imagination, it's old-fashioned storytelling with dice. In some cases, this doesn't even use dice; it uses cards or special dice like Fate dice or shard dice. Has it with you as you've seen the industry move? I mean, literally, for these last 30 years, has it been impressive to watch it go beyond just Tolkien's universe, basically the D&D universe?
Beyond any question. I've been in this. I wasn't in the first generation, but I was easily in the second generation of writers and designers. So I've had a chance to really watch this hobby and this industry grow. Not only that, but I'm kind of proud of the fact that I've helped this hobby and this industry grow. A lot of people will be surprised to know that it is bigger than it's ever been. There are more players playing. There are more people involved in dice and paper tabletop role-playing games than have ever been playing in the history of this hobby. It was like, well, it looks like it's just sort of had its heyday. And no, it's still in its heyday. It's in like a whole new heyday. It's just there's so many games, as you mentioned. There's so many ways to play. And we've watched the evolution of this hobby over and over. There's just been these new changes. I talk about the various phases and sea changes that have come along, electronic distribution, before that desktop publishing, the ability to do electronic transactions online. Kickstarter is a huge part of the tabletop RPG industry and hobby now. And all of these things have helped change the face of this, and it has been incredibly exciting to not only watch it, but to be a part of it. I talk a lot about my own design aesthetic these days as somebody who's been doing this since it was have a character class, have some hit points, figure out what cool special abilities you're going to give that character class. Now it's about player narrative and empowering the player to participate with the game master in storytelling and other design aesthetics that help the game master's role be more entertaining and easier, understanding that the typical GM now has kids and a life and a job, and he or she is going to need tool sets that really facilitate jumping in and running games more quickly and easily. So we've seen a complete shift in how games are designed so that they're less complex and more story-oriented. It's easier to figure out what you're doing with your character. It's easier to set up and run an adventure. A lot of the things that I work on now are tool sets that make putting an adventure faster and more just boom, 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 let's go, go, go. Let's get, we got 4 hours to play tonight, guys, or we have 2 hours to play. Let's dive in. And tool sets for playing online via play-by-post or virtual tabletop. And just all of these different technological and sociological and other elements that have amalgamated into this massive shift in it. But at the core, it's still just like you said, a bunch of people get together to have some characters and a story and tell a story together. And that's still compelling. That's still the heart of the experience.
Entirely. I couldn't agree more.
So on the topic of story, I got a question for you. So what would be, of all the games that you've created, what is your favorite that you've done? And if you were to play it, what would you play in that world?
Oh, wow.
We don't ask easy questions sometimes. Sorry.
No, that's okay. The thing is, I'm always working on the next thing. So what's been kind of interesting and slightly frustrating for some folks is that when you ask me a question about like that, I'm actually thinking in terms of the game you haven't seen yet. So
I know we're all ears.
So right now, my focus is on the things that we're working on that we're going to be publishing next year, and I'm pretty excited about those. I mean, I of course I love all of my babies, but I'm kind of in another headspace. So I mean, it's of the stuff that I've done, I'm incredibly proud of the Savage Rift's work. It was the most difficult design work of my life. Making that 1990s very involved, very very kind of arcane rule set come together under Savage Worlds rules and effectively break Savage Worlds rules, but in a way that still works. That was hard. It was really intense. There's some really cool stuff that I've done with that, and I'm very proud of that work. And now I've got some other people that are working on some really cool stuff along those lines. Pretty excited about that for them. I'm still overseeing that. And the thing was, somebody presented me the option, says, hey, I want to run a Savage Rifts game, and I want you to actually get to play. This was at Gen Con. So it's an interesting thing. I kind of got to cheat. I got to take one of my favorite characters from Shinetar, which is my epic fantasy setting that I created for Savage Worlds way back when, and I took my Corindian, which is like these Polynesian elf martial artist types, and I made him into a Cyber Knight in Savage Rifts,
Nice.
and I got to play him, and that was rocking. That was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. As far as the stuff that I'm working on right now, there's a thing everybody that knows that I'm working on. It's basically called, it's basically sort of G.I. Joe for adults. It's called Freedom Squadron, and that's going to be a huge thing. Where I'm very very excited about this. It's got a whole new rule set I've come up with called Plans and Operations, which Shane Hensley, who's the guy who created Savage Worlds, even said, "Hey man, you got Fate all over my Savage Worlds, and it works." And it's a set of cards and rules that you can use to do schemes, heist games, Shadowrun, A-Team, Mission Impossible, any of these things that really engages all the players in a completely different mode than they're normally used to. There's still storytelling, there's still role play, but other the characters get a chance to use all their other skills and abilities and do these global operation kinds of things. And I'm really excited about that. Everybody's encountered an experience that have been excited. And I'm really hoping to get a chance that somebody else will run it so I get to play in that one. Because who doesn't want to play a G.I. Joe character style, that kind of thing.
You got someone over here that...
I'm always tuning the horn of Savage Worlds. By the way, little known fact, last ChupacabraCon, you were here in Austin. You actually had two of our people at your table who playing that game, and you're going to you're going to have their code names.
Oh, yes. They are in there. Yeah, that's right. I collect all the code names, and all the code names are going to be included in the books. In fact, as part of our Kickstarter program will be a live Twitter feed done running up to and during the Kickstarter, which will represent ongoing missions that are happening in the world as though they're really happening. Mm-hmm. And all those code-named characters are going to get mentioned repeatedly doing cool stuff during that.
Oh, that's so neat.
Alessa's character was this total raging badass who apparently destroyed a truck.
Oh yeah. Big time.
So we have not too much time left, but you said you were working on something else real fast. I want to get to. What else? You said you were working on something. You're working on your LLC.
Well, the Evil Beagle Games LLC is coming up. That's Len Pimentel of Lakeside Games is coming on as our vice president, and he's also the business manager. He's got a whole bunch of stuff that he's working on. He's one of the most underestimated game designers in the industry right now, but that will change in 2018, I promise you. He and I are working together on something called Prowls and Paragons, which is going to be the next champions. I mean, this is the original Hero System guys who've played this game and agree with me that we've created the next champions, which was the biggest superhero game of all time for a long, long time. And we're coming out with a user-friendly version, a game that anybody could dive in, play, and they can understand in 5 minutes, but it has all the flexibility. I'm very excited about this. It's a brand new superhero system. Been playing a lot of that. That's exciting. We've got a whole thing called Omniverse, which is going to be multiple settings. It's going to be like a multi-dimensional thing where there's going to be multiple settings where they all cross over, so characters can easily cross over. We have an online play component that's tied to that, which I'm also very, very excited about. Plus the Freedom Squadron thing, which is going to be a Savage Worlds, like I said, G.I. Joe kind of game, and we're very excited about that. Those are two big Kickstarters we have planned. There is more Savage Rift stuff coming, 3 books, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's attached to that. There's the Michael Serbrooks Presents line, and the Bill Keys Presents. Bill Keys is another one of the guys who's partners. Michael Serbrooks is a partner. So Evil Beagles is coming out swinging. Plus, I've got all kinds of offers sitting on the table for other stuff that I could work on. I just I had to learn to say no quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I will say this: role-playing games are bigger, as I said, than they've ever been. There's so many ways to play them now. There's so many people who are coming back from the original days. They're bringing their kids. Their kids are bringing their kids. There are 3 generations of gamers coming to the table now. And it's just unbelievable what I'm seeing with that. And there's all the different ways that people can play, all the different ways that people are engaging with their hobbies and their interests. I'm really, really thrilled to be a part of this. And thanks. I just want to thank you folks for letting me have a chance to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having
Real
me.
quick, before we let you go, I'm a cartographer for fantasy worlds and RPG games and such. Do a lot of commission work. What advice would you give myself, including and other viewers? What would you give advice for them to, instead of saying like follow your dreams, what would you say if they just keep wanting to go and they just don't think they're getting through it? What would you encourage to say about that?
Well, it really depends. It's never been easier to do your own thing.
Correct.
Never. It's never been easier to get your own thing out there. The tools exist that as long as you're willing to do the work, nothing is stopping you from sharing it. The internet provides all the different tools and opportunities to do so. Drive to RPG and RPG Now. You just have to sign up as a publisher, and boom, you can start publishing your own stuff. And really, that is the best way to go. Is if you're not already hooked in with somebody to look at your stuff and start publishing it, that doesn't stop you at all. The only thing stopping is you. And if you've got cartography you want to do some damn maps and put them up there and show them off. You got some art that you want to show, put electronic portfolio together and get it out there and let people see it. You have a writing that you want to share, write stuff and share it. That's how you get the attention. You put it out there, you share it, you get people excited about it, you talk to people about it, you build a community around your creation. I talk about this all the time at conventions. There's a panel I do called the 4 C's: creator, content, community, and consumer. And the consumer's over here and the creator's over here, and there's a line that exists between them and is created between the community and the content. And as long as you are willing to work hard at building that community around your content, you will eventually get people interested and excited in what you're doing. And as you do the work, somebody will care about what you're doing.
That's really great advice.
Seriously, thank you so much for that. That's going to help me a whole lot.
So you have a lot of options, trust me.
Yes, I do.
We have to go, unfortunately. We're running out of time. But Sean, if someone wants to find out, like your Sean picks, which you're always picking really awesome games, or what else is going on with you, your career, or what else, where can they go find you?
I assume you guys have show notes, so feel free to put all these links in. Sean'sPickOfTheDay.com is a really good thing. Facebook, honestly, just friend me or follow me on Facebook.
Yep.
Better hurry, though. I'm about to run out of slots. Apparently, you actually top out. I'm almost out of friend slots. But friend or follow me on Facebook, Sean Patrick Fannon. I'm very easy to find on there. EvilBeagleGames.com is another place to come find me. I'm out there. I'm very, very public and easy to find and happy to make more friends.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Sean. You definitely inspired a lot of us, and you definitely inspired our viewers, and I'm sure everyone's
We have
gonna
a crew in the background
now.
now. Like every game you were talking about, they're like, I want to play that. I'm looking at their heads nodding. So we got to go. Guys, thank you for watching. We're going to come back.
I'm guest at next Chupacabra. Hopefully I'll see you guys there.
Yes, we'll be there.
I'm actually teaching how to play Savage World, so that's going to be awesome. So
I'm doing the big charity game for it. It's actually going to be based on Freedom Squadron, but it's called The Other Guys. So it's actually going to be a comedy game based in the Freedom Squadron setting, but it's the other guys, the ones who didn't quite make the cut for Freedom Squadron.
Oh
so
my gosh!
And that one every year always includes Sean, includes Shane Hensley, who's the creator of Savage Worlds, Clinton Black. It's John Wick sometime. It's a lot of fun. It's a charity. You can screw with dice rolling, and God knows they have for $5. Check it out.
Yep.
But we're going to...
Sorry about the dog, guys.
No, you're good. You're good. Sean, thanks again, man. Thank you so much.
But we're going to let you go. We're going to let you peace out. We're going to let you guys go. Next up, guys, we're going to wrap everything up, so stay tuned.
Gavin. RPG is Gavin.
I'm never going to hear the end of this.
RPG Gavin.
I'm never going to hear the end of this.
Sean was so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I loved it.
He was pretty awesome.
That was really great.
So we're going to keep this show going with our 10 things this week, which Jeffrey and I are doing because he didn't quite understand the concept of give me the RPG fandoms that you'd like to play games with.
I was thinking LARPs.
He sent me LARPs like bears, cats, and dogs. I'll explain on the camera. I was like, that's not a fandom.
It was my friend. I was asking her questions like, hey, what do you think? She's like, dogs, bears, cats, and foxes.
I
and
give
such.
them
I'm like,
2
what are you-
weeks to
what-
give
all right,
me
I'm
this
like, all right.
stuff. And he gives it to me last night, 20 minutes before it's due.
I've been gaming since then.
So, all right. We're going to kick off with number 10, which Jeffrey has.
Okay, one of my top ones was Valerian. You watch the movie, there was a lot of people that didn't like it, there was a lot of people that really liked it. But at the same time, you think of the world building that they created in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
The world building's pretty good for this one.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine just building a whole entire game around that space city with over 100 different races or something?
I'll tell you what, there'd be a lot of rules for this game, though.
There would be a lot of rules. I mean, just the aspect of everything, the role-playing that you can
Do
dive
you know
into.
what game there wouldn't be a whole lot of rules for? Our number 9, The Sims. Because literally, it's an RPG about just playing life.
Yeah.
Hey,
true.
I want to go to the grocery store. Roll a d20. Oh, you failed. You got in a wreck. Oh, well, you're dead. You know, you just put the little plum on top of your head. There's one on a little stick, and everyone just takes a turn.
I'm gonna cook. Roll a d20. Oh, your house catches fire. I was the one who always built the families, and then I would trap them all in there, take all away the windows
And
and
they
doors.
pee on themselves. Like, I
They
used to
pee
make
on themselves
videos
and
of
just
this
like
stuff.
slowly watch them die. And
Sims torture porn. That's what I used to call
it.
it.
was kind of morbid.
All right, what do we have next up on our list? Number 8.
Next one is the Muppets. Think about it, Gavin. The Muppets RPG.
This would be really good. Like showbiz type of RPG, but with wacky humor and jokes and parodies and puns.
But we got the two who would be always in the balcony, and it's like something happens during the show.
You have to have a Statler and Waldorf GM player, and they roll for them puns that totally affect the game.
Yes. Please, can it happen?
That would be quite hilarious.
But
I could see this one working.
I really like the next one that you picked, though.
Okay, because you know me, and it's not a season if I don't bring up number 7, Space Channel 5.
Space Channel 5.
I would love to see this in anything, a LARP, anything, but a role-playing game where you got to roll for dance moves, and it's completely retardedly, ridiculously fun.
I didn't know what this was, and I looked it up, and I'm just like, what the... This is Gavin.
This is totally
Gavin.
me.
This is totally you.
Can you imagine? Okay, so you can come up with the most outrageous retro plots you want involving dancing, singing. It could be a singing RPG. Roll for a dice. Nope, you didn't hit that note right. You got dunked. I was going to say a bad word there, but I couldn't because we're on for our time.
We're going to roll to the next one, and this is one of our... both of us kind of agreed on this one. Pokemon.
See, for this
Pokemon
one, he
RPG.
sent me,
Can it happen?
Monster Beast Hunter was his topic, so I said Pokemon. Because it would be really funny to play Pokemon where you have trainers and Pokemon. You make up your own. Yeah, and all sorts of different fun things. Like, could you imagine role-playing a Pokemon? Like... Here's why I also think this would work, because when you see Pokemon, you only see 2 people dueling, but when the card game first came out, we broke the rules and did a 6-player
Oh my
duel.
gosh,
It was insanely fun.
It was a lot of fun.
The card game, 6 players going at it, do an RPG, let people either be Pokemon or trainers. Oh, I mean, could you imagine our like
the
role-playing
RPG would
Jigglypuff?
be intense. Don't. I can't with you though.
What's wrong with you and Jigglypuff? I would totally roleplay a Jigglypuff. Would have like little tattoos on my arm, say "Ghetto Thug Life," and like have an eye patch and stuff, and like a peg leg and a hook. I would totally roleplay that Jigglypuff. And then you want to like summon me? I get roll the dice.
I feel like that's like a Popeye the Sailor Man Jigglypuff I'm looking at.
Well, you know, we know you'd be the Ghastly going, glitter Ghastly, glitter.
Glitter Ghastly.
Your Ghastly's
Glitter
name.
Fabulous. Fabulous Ghastly.
Your fabulous Ghastly's name would be Huffle Slut.
Huffle Slut. Slitherdong. There you go. That's
that
one.
would be the Jigglypuff going, what? Ghastly, what?
Raven
No,
Snatch.
we need to create this RPG just so we can play these 2 dumb Pokemon. Up next on our list, Sesame Street. Could you imagine a more bizarre RPG on the face of the planet than an educational game, Sesame Street?
But it can't be educational. It actually has to be like the adult content that's hidden behind Sesame Street.
This is one that can be both ways. It could be a child's first entry into the world of role-playing.
Oh, God.
Or it could be late-night parents turning it into pornographic crime drama.
This sounds like it definitely would be a drinking RPG game.
This would definitely be. Anyone see that damn letter R? Roll for initiative. Nope, I didn't catch it. Well, this game's been brought to you by Jack Crap.
Which can be found by 2 blocks down away near Avenue Q and Sesame Street. Right behind Garbage Lane, everyone.
You have like the plot line where you got to take pictures of Bert and Ernie in their compromising positions. Roll for initiative. I mean, oh no, for sneak. Oh, perfect 20. You're on.
What's the
Inquirer.
photo you get?
All right. Next up is
Muppet Hands. I thought this one would be kind of neat. The Matrix. You know, it was a fandom that hit off really well.
you have reality versus imagination, basically.
Or
It's two worlds.
the other way around. Yeah,
You have no glasses. Eat your glasses.
I know. It's no.
Sound like I'll sleep. It's 'cause
There
like
are
you just can't.
lenses there. It's the Matrix.
Yeah, this is one that you could do a lot of plot twists from and have a lot of fun, and the GM could constantly change the Matrix world because he'd basically be an agent. And you have to fight real worlds. Like, you could do 2 campaigns going at once. You have people outside who have to defend you while you're inside. There could be a lot of fun. They may have already done this, but I still think it would be a lot of fun.
That sounds like so much fun.
Not as much fun as this next one.
Oh,
Roger Rabbit's Toontown.
Yes.
Y'all remember Toontown from Roger Rabbit? That
Yes.
place was crazy, full of crime, full of drama. I mean, it was literally insane.
The sex, the drugs,
The rock and roll, the people
Oh.
falling out of buildings, the talking manholes, the car crash. I mean, everything in this game would just be bat guano crazy.
What was the slime? What was it called again? It was a toxic.
The dip?
The dip.
Not the ooze Lulu, it's the dip. She's
The
all back
dip,
there going,
the dip.
I'm hanging my head in shame. Yes, this game could be a lot of fun to make a cartoon Toontown-based one, but in a more of the adult Roger Rabbit way.
I think that would be a lot of fun. Just imagine like, oh, there's a secret cartel of the dip holders, and you have to go find them. And
The dip holders.
you know, some of your players can be cartoons, some players can actually be human. So, and each one has different
Constitutions.
constitutions,
We don't know what we're talking about now.
consequences. But all right, I know.
This one's all Jeffrey.
This is all me, but I'm bringing it back. The Black Cauldron. Yes, it'd be a really kick-ass RPG. You got your characters, and if you say anything about the damn pig, I swear to the
Who's gonna roleplay the
gaming
pig?
gods, I'm gonna. You're playing the pig. You're gonna play the pig.
I'll do it,
You
and I'll
can
run
dip
away,
your
not be
nose
any
in
help.
water and see the future, and other little things that'll happen. But seriously, the storyline had so much to it, but you only.
I will
get to
agree,
see-
this one could be pretty fun. It would be very much in the vein of Lord of the Rings and Dungeons & Dragons, but
Exactly.
with cooler villains and a talking pig.
Right. We're moving on. I can't eat.
All right.
Leave my 2D
Number
out of
one,
this.
the best horror genre ever for a role-playing
All right,
game.
are you ready for this?
Candyland. Hear me out.
Yes.
We already know how much I hate Candyland.
I
This
can't
is
stand
another
it.
one that you could turn
No.
into something very violent and bloody because Candyland is from the freaking devil. It is evil incarnate in a board marketed towards children. Candyland would be the best horror RPG ever because not only would you have to deal with dice, you'd have to deal with color cards and those freaking characters who are way too happy for their own good, and you know they're all up to something because Mr. Miller's a goddamn devil. Yeah.
I played
Candyland,
I played
best.
this. This was actually probably one of my favorite games when I was a kid to play.
No one looks at the
But-
same because I rally on this game and how truly horrific it is.
It is very horrific,
And
I
no one looks at the
completely-
same way once I talk to
completely
them.
understand, but I gotta admit, this would be a very good horror.
This would be
RPG.
definitely a drunk RPG game.
But I would say, like, if you have to get from like a start to finish as you're playing the game. Oh wait, I already kind of did this, and you know, of course we're drinking and such like that. But if someone didn't roll over like whatever or get a color card or whatever happened, we would have a chocolate monster come after us, and it was giant. It was a giant chocolate bunny.
All
And
right.
try to kill us, and we wouldn't be able to get to.
So
the,
that's been it for this week's 10 Things list. We've had a lot of fun on this one. We hope you've enjoyed it because we enjoyed it. We will find someone to make this Pokemon one because I will be Jigglypuff.
Whoa! If you think you have any ideas on what you would like us to see on Top 10 Things, go ahead and get to us on fanboytv.com.
And we'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Jigglypuff.
All right, so that's been this episode of Fanservice. Jeffrey got to geek out. Pocky got to geek out. Lulu got to join us for some fun and hang her head in shame for not knowing what dip was. She was back there going, ooze! The ooze! I was like,
It gives me nightmares as a kid. It was the ooze.
So, yes, this was definitely a good show.
It was a lot of fun. I
It was
enjoyed
good.
it.
The guests
We're
were
all-
amazing.
Lulu got me.
So I have to say, apparently we are now all going to be invading Chupacabra this year because
Yes.
Yeah, all of us.
We need to invade with the Pokemon RPG.
Actually,
so
I
excited.
already have rules for that.
Yes.
I'm making the Jigglypuff. You have to be our trainer.
And can I be?
Oh my
as
God,
long
yes!
As I'm Ghastly, I'm all right.
No. So how it works is one of you has to be the Pokemon, one has to be the trainer.
Well, trainers have more than one Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right, but that's how it.
We're going to figure this out for ChupacabraCon, trust me.
It will happen.
But anyways, I believe next week we have Drag Me to the Opera coming on. They're a local opera
Me
drag
to the
organization.
opera.
So they're going to be here to do some performances and talk about what they do, because I can't wait, because we're also counting down to the International Drag Festival, which we've been invited to, so you'll see us out there. Probably a Disney drag.
Oh my God.
We'll see what happens.
We're going to see what happens between now and then. So that's been it for this episode. Make sure you catch us online at fanboytv.com. All of our shows are there, the Block Party shows. Every Thursday we're right here. As you see, new episodes are coming as we're transitioning to this pre-film schedule. It's been a lot of fun. We have new shows on the way.
Yep.
Mary Sue Gay Manny Minions. We have streaming going on. We've got mat making going on.
Podcast. We
There's
have
all sorts of stuff that we got going
And
on for you guys.
also-
A show that Lulu will probably be known for very soon.
we have other people who are getting into the woodworks, coming into the things. We've got everything.
Everyone's
going
just
on.
like coming to be part of this collective because we're
Also-
freaking awesome.
Also-
Hold on.
we recently just got like
Oh, wait.
5 new
As
people to
a
join
new
us.
person to the group, what do you
Yes.
think of us?
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I get to be my biggest, nerdiest self, and you guys are great. And I'm-
Everybody gets to be their
We're,
biggest
we're
nerd
very
self.
family oriented. Like you come here one day and it's just you keep coming. I mean, I was the guest on the show and then bam, now I work here.
And
But
you
we
were wearing
also
the same
learned
outfit, too.
valuable lessons like don't let Jeffrey mix your drinks because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Or
He
Frost.
mixed rum
Don't-
chata
Do
and
not
tequila
eat
together.
it. No, I can't say it on this air, but I'm not going to say what that was called. And Jasmine would agree. That alcohol that you had
Was way too. It burned. Like
I felt like I lost a lung.
So what we're saying here, folks, is most of Fanboy ATV are not very good bartenders.
No.
But try Frost. He's actually
Frost
really
is fairly
But
good.
we are good gamers, and
Yes,
we
and
hope
we're
you guys
good
enjoy the
nerds.
show.
Also,
and we're good
go-
movie lovers and comic book lovers.
Also, don't forget about our Facebook pages, our YouTube channels, like,
Oh, that's on
Subscribe,
Fanboy
everything.
TV.
All
Come
that.
by,
Great.
visit.
we'll
So
be doing
that's
weird
been
things.
it. Thank you, Lulu, for joining us.
Thank you.
I believe you'll be on for another episode at some point in time. Plus, you have a project with us. We're not telling you about yet, but it's going to be freaking awesome. That's it. We will see you guys
Side
next
has
week.
fur.
Everyone say bye.
Bye! Let's go roll some dice.
Oh, I have bones.
Jiggly Pop says, yeah.
Pika pika.
All right,
I'm done.
done.
No, actually, I have Digimon. We have